Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to offer a dire warning about the cost of inaction. We are facing down a nightmare scenario for SEPTA. I am here today to try to put it in as plain as terms possible of what will happen if we do not act and if this legislature does not act and act on transit funding. My office looked through statements that SEPTA leaders and advocates have made, as well as previous doomsday budget scenario that SEPTA released more than a decade ago. The results are not pretty. So what does a 30% cut in service really mean? Well, let's start with subway service. During SEPTA's last budget crisis, the agency proposed cutting all service on the Broad Street line south of Walnut Locust. So think about that for a minute. For those of us not familiar with Philadelphia, what that means is no subway service in South Philadelphia, one of the densest neighborhoods in our entire Commonwealth. Thousands would be stranded every day as service disappears. Moving to the regional rail service, a critical artery that connects Philadelphia to its suburban neighbors. One line is already slated for potential closure and meeting resistance from neighbors who rely on regional rail to get around. Well, I have news. That would just be the start. We know that if we had a 30% cut in services, we would likely lose multiple regional rail lines that would have to be cut entirely. And what remains would see fewer trains and fewer stops. It's likely that at least 2 train lines would be shuttered and that several major regional rail lines would have to be shortened and have dramatically reduced service, all because of the cuts that will be because of inaction. Finally, what about bus service? Bus service is critical to Philadelphia and its residents. So travel within Center City in my district and around the city and other neighborhoods would be dramatically impacted by these cuts. In fact, SEPTA would likely be forced to shutter entire bus lines if this continues. And the bus lines that would remain would have dramatically less service. What does that mean in practice? Well, take the Route 21 bus. It's a workhorse of the entire system, taking riders from West Philadelphia downtown to back to Chestnut and Walnut Street, 2 major commercial corridors in Center City. Riders who had previously been able to count on a bus every 15 minutes may now be forced to wait an hour between buses, okay? Looking at our subway service, our regional rail service, and our bus service, and how they will be decimated if we allow 30% cuts in services to go forward. To be frank, I'm deeply frustrated that we're at this point. This chamber has acted, I believe, not once, not twice, but today a 3rd time to pass funding for mass transit. Funding mass transit has been a bipartisan issue in our legislature for decades because we all understand that a strong transit system is the only way that our economy works. There's still time for this legislature to act on a plan that provides SEPTA and other transit agencies across our Commonwealth the resources that they need to continue serving communities across Pennsylvania. We must reject the idea that the only way forward is a 30% reduction in services and major fare hikes. Instead, we must act. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this bill and for the Senate to take up this critical measure before it's too late. Thank you, Madam Speaker.